Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. How's everybody getting along? MeteoMark's Weather Eastern and Weather Northeastern. Take a look at this. We're going to be dealing with a storm that's going to be tracking out of the southern plains here. It's moving up parts of the Ohio Valley. Look at that. Big storms across the south and big snows here on the northwest side. What will that mean for the Northeast? Yep, a big heavy band of snow develops midday tomorrow across parts of Pennsylvania, upstate New York, into southern New England. The big question is, look at the big cities, rain kicking in. How much will we see and what areas? And our warm air, look at that, going to win out in the end. As you can see, it looks like midday tomorrow is our best shot at snow. Let's get into it. All right, so let's take a look at the upper level pattern here. We're starting off NAM 3 kilometers since our European run does not want to work here. Take a look at this. Yeah, look at this. This is a big old... This is a lot of wind up in the upper layers of the atmosphere pushing in. The wind is going to be a thing here across parts of the Northeast, gusting out of the south, 30 to 40 miles an hour. Look at that big push up into the Northeast before it moves out come Friday. All right, so as we take a look at the HRRR model, this is the model I'm really focused on. This has been a rock solid. It's been a rock star. Take a look at this. North central, parts of central Pennsylvania, especially northern suburbs of Williamsport, St. Mary's, Bradford, Coudersport, Gailton, these areas 6-10 inches likely. Look at this. Northwestern Ohio, 6-inch plus as well. Eastern Catskills, Poconos, this is where you could see 6-inch plus. Adirondacks, Cortland, New York, and then up into the White Green Mountains into northern Maine. Look at that. 6-inch, probably 7, 10, 12, 14 inches up here into northern Maine. So, yeah, these areas around, in the advisories, you probably see about 2 to 5 inches. All right, so taking a look at the NAM 3 kilometer, this is a little bit peculiar. Many people have been talking about this. Yeah, it's been pushing this heavier band of snow from central Pennsylvania northward to northern Ohio, Cleveland to south of Toledo, over towards Erie, Bradford, Binghamton, Elmira, over just west of Albany, the Catskills. And then really keeping mostly rain here across eastern Pennsylvania. This is kind of peculiar. Definitely keep an eye on this run because it's possible this could happen. The warm air may win out a little bit more and push, the heavier snowfall totals up here into New York. And to look at the latest Euro hot off the press here, always good to see, something like this. It's interesting. North central Pennsylvania, Euro's back on board with, 5, 6, 7, 8 inch plus here. And then pushing some of these heavier totals once again into northern Ohio, Cleveland area, all the way up into parts of the Northeast. Definitely interesting trends, but I'm still going with the HRRR. All right, so let's take a look at this whole play out here. Thunderstorms here across eastern Texas. Heavy snow just north of Dallas. Continues throughout the night. Look at that. So thunderstorms, severe weather heads east across the southeast. Look at what takes hold to the north here. This is some heavy snow moving up across Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, and then eventually up here into the Northeast. Now, this is where things get interesting. Let's take a look at this. Yeah, look how this moves in 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So, here's your locations. This is going to get you to work most of your areas of the Northeast if you're just east, along and east of the Susquehanna River Valley. So you'll get to work fine, but take a look what takes hold here as we head throughout the morning hours. Heavy snow really begins to pick up here across parts of the Twin Tiers of New York, Pennsylvania, even downstate New York here initially. Take a look at this. Yeah, heading over towards Hartford, you're going to get a burst of heavier snow. Those winter weather advisories have been issued. Now look at central Pennsylvania here. Look at Harrisburg at this time around noon. You're going to be getting heavy snow now. So things are changing a little bit here. We're going to continue with the steady snow here across upstate New York into northern Pennsylvania. Cleveland, you're going to start switching over along with Pittsburgh there because look at that. We just back it up just a few frames. Look at that. 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m. So you're going to start changing over. But look at there in parts of the Northeast. Your heaviest snow is going to be just to the north of that mix in that changeover. So you're going to start moving to the north here pretty quickly. 2 p.m., look at the snow breaking out here across parts of Pennsylvania and New York. Look at this. This is some crazy, hefty snow, even down here into parts of northern New Jersey, Middletown, over just on the edge here in Spring Valley. Take a look at that. Yeah, so parts of the Hudson Valley, Poughkeepsie, you're going to be right on the edge here. These are some totals that could, be the highest totals you've seen so far this winter. It's hard to believe. But yeah, see the white areas here. This is where the heaviest snow is occurring. Now, let's see what happens with that as we head in time. That's crazy to think about, that we're going to rack up some pretty heavy snow totals, maybe 1 inch per hour in some of these heavier bands. So, the snow, is going to really pick up here across parts of the Northeast. But look how quickly this starts to change to the west here. 4 p.m., look at the warm air is really starting to win out here to the west. We're eroding that, and look at the rain. We're into rain here in Harrisburg, so that heavy snow you saw earlier is just a fading memory. Binghamton, we're still socked in, as well as Albany and down into parts of northern New Jersey. Parts of the lower Hudson Valley, the eastern Catskills here could really, that's why we have some warnings for the eastern Catskills, up in these regions here. It's going to be rather interesting to see how those snow piles up. But look at this, 5 p.m., we're starting to mix with sleet pellets, rain, freezing rain, that sort of thing in the upper Susquehanna Valley here. Things are going to continue to get pretty interesting here as we head in time. And look at that. We start to mix it out, change the terrain. And most of the night here, with the exception of above 1,200 feet, we're going to really start to see, a lot of convective elements take over. See that rain-snow line here pushing north into the Northeast. So all this snow you got earlier across southern New England, that burst of heavier snow you see earlier, is going to be a fading memory. And watch what's coming into the backside of this system here as we continue in time. Yeah, we're going to get some snowfall, so additional accumulations, nothing too terribly heavy, but, a couple inches more from Cleveland to Erie, just southwest of Buffalo, is possible. Northern New England will be getting the heavy snow by this point. This is 3 a.m. Thursday, and look at this. This is an interesting feature. I don't think it's possible parts of the Northeast could get this line of thunderstorms. Nantucket, it's going to be really close to you, but this is actually a line of convection. This is thunderstorms this far north. The warm air is going to be surging 20, 30, 35 mile per hour wind gusts throughout the entire day across the Northeast. It is going to be a miserable day. That's for sure. And look at lake effect response behind it. And I wanted to show you briefly the severe weather for your Wednesday across the Southeast. There's that line of convection you're going to be getting. There's 9 a.m. So panhandle of Florida, especially up towards the Carolinas, 1 p.m., 3 p.m. So yeah, strong thunderstorms are definitely a possibility here. All right, so as we take a look at the NAM 3 kilometer, let's compare it here to the HRRR. We'll see what's going on. Look at that. Yeah. This is going to be quite a big storm here across the south. Severe weather overnight, that's a concern heading across the deep south into Alabama and Georgia. But look at this expanse, the snow that moves from just north of Dallas. Even Dallas, you'll end as a few wet snowflakes here. And look how, watch this move just up the Ohio Valley here. So it does look like there's a bigger, warmer surge here with the NAM 3 kilometer. 11 a.m. Wednesday, here we are. So we start out into the Northeast. This is some pretty hefty snow here, snowfall rates into the Northeast. Cleveland, you'll have seen yours for a couple hours, 1 to 2 inches an hour in some of these. Look at this. This is 11 a.m. So we're really starting to get where this white shading is. The NAM is further north with the heaviest snow. That's a trend that we're going to have to keep an eye on. And you see this is towards noon in Binghamton over to Elmira, Olean. That's some heavy snow. And look at that. Look at how it overtakes the entire region. It is quicker, though, with the mix. See how this mix moves in just to the west here? Let's zoom out just a little bit, show you the entire Northeast. Look at how quickly that mixes in. So your evening commute might not be as bad, and we erode that overnight pretty quickly as we move to the Northeast. Now, look at the NAM 3 kilometer with this line of convection. This is the actual line of convection you can see. Not quite thunderstorms just yet, but watch how more of a northerly track here this takes some of this convection up into New England. I would not be surprised, if this verifies, some of these thunderstorms could make it into Boston, parts of Providence, and then eventually Cape Cod here towards 7 a.m. Thursday. That's crazy to even think about. And then look at all the snow showers here, lake enhanced on the backside of this system. All right, so let's go with the European run here. Been very consistent as of late. It pretty much agrees with the mesoscale models at this point. Low pressure moving up towards north central Ohio. The warm air eventually winning out. You are going to get a period of heavy snow there during. So let's just back that up just a few frames. In fact, let's actually zoom in here to the Northeast. So as we take a look at this flow here in the Northeast, let's just back that up a few frames. Can't get as high res as we were on the mesoscale, but look at this here, the midday. Just before noon here across northern Pennsylvania, that's where you're going to get up with the heaviest snow. That pushes pretty far to the north here come rush hour. Look at that. You're changing over to rainfall there in places like Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, Binghamton. Albany are kind of like on the zone here, so Wilkes-Barre. And then look at this. You're pretty much changing all the rain here across coastal areas, rest of eastern Pennsylvania. That low moves up, and there you have it. Now let's zoom out into the national view here, and it'll give us a good idea of what's going on. So that low pressure moves up. The next one takes its place. Alberta Clipper doesn't make it too far south here. It re-energizes back up towards Quebec and Ontario here. But take a look at this. High pressure building in there across the southeast. And look at this. Yep, this is our next system. Unfortunately, they're just going to continue to dive south here across the Intermountain West and then re-energize, move up towards the northeast, and continue. See this pattern? It just continues. And there's our last frame, Friday, February 3rd. So there is indication here. There's a big old high to the north, little Alberta Clipper. Look at this. That's a lot of cold air feeding down this trough. So we might be setting us up for some better, I know you've heard this time and time again, but better conditions here for snowfall across the east as we head into February. All right, so let's take a look at temperature profiles through this storm. We'll start off with just around sunrise here, Wednesday morning. Let's back that up just slightly. There we go. So we're starting off really cold here across parts of the Northeast, starting off with our mesoscale model, our HRRR, our trusty HRRR here. Very high resolution temperature pattern here. Take a look at this. So this is towards, look at this. Here we go. So we approach noon, and we're only making it to freezing, and some of these higher terrain, we're staying in the upper 20s. Look at this surge of warm air to the southwest here. It's turning places like Pittsburgh over to 39 degrees, but look at this, 32 and 33 here in Binghamton and Elmira, respectively, 30 in Albany, just northwest of Boston. So this is where the core of the coldest air resides, and look at that. This is towards the afternoon hours. We're staying, let's back that up just slightly. There we go. So we're staying into the 32-degree range, and as we get these heavier bands of snowfall, we get that adiabatic cooling, dragging that colder air downward, and it's going to continue to plummet those temperatures. So it's going to be just enough there to support snowfall. We start to erode that as we get towards rush hour. Look at that. 33 there in Binghamton, 35 in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, 42 in Harrisburg, 33 in Syracuse. We're still stuck with 32 here in Albany for your evening commute. Look at this. We're starting to have that cold air retreat up here into northern New England, and look how quickly it erodes. We bring in these really warm temperatures. This is the early morning hours of Thursday. Look at that. We're getting up into the 50s here in southeastern New England. It's crazy. Look at the cold air filtering back on the backside. This is where we'll see additional snow accumulations kick in as we get on the backside of that low pressure system. Take a look at that. So yeah, as we get throughout the day Thursday, your temperatures will be falling here across upstate New York into northern Pennsylvania, and then falling a little bit here, still well above freezing near coastal sections. All right, so as we take a look at nationally here with the European run, there it is. Northern New England's the big winner. You are going to get some additional snowfall here across parts of the southern plains, all the way up the Ohio River Valley that could be warning criteria, all the way up to western Ohio, eastern Indiana. And then here, the European model isn't putting so much there in central Pennsylvania, more northwestern, which is kind of peculiar. But let's take a look here. All right, looking out and beyond here on the GFS, let's just take a look and see. It's not going to really give us the greatest view here, but Sunday, here it is across the Northeast. We see a surge of warm air again. Yeah, we've seen this time and time again. Maybe some interior snows Sunday into Monday, but not much fanfare here. Let's take a look at the overall pattern. Just gives us a good idea. And these systems just keep pummeling up like this from Texas all the way up into the Great Lakes. It's just a broken record. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything's really changing anytime soon for coastal cities up here that are looking for snow. Until you get to Sunday, February 5th, the pattern really starts to break down. I'm really looking forward to February here because this is where we could start to see systems like this, although it still looks like rain and mix here for the big cities of the Northeast. But, the pattern is there. All right, so heading into Wednesday here, this is where you're going to see all of this severe weather. It's going to head east towards the Florida Panhandle and the Carolinas for tomorrow. Damaging wind, large hail, and isolated tornadoes, a good bet. All right, so we'll take a look at the upper air pattern here. We're taking a look at the latest Euro. This is going to take us at least through the weekend, and then we'll have to backtrack a little bit here. Let's take a look. There it is, through Friday. So you got this big old trough kicking in. Is this going to be our pattern reversal? Well, it doesn't look too promising just yet. So let's go out a little bit further here. Let's see what we got going on. So let's get past the weekend here. There's that trough kicking in, and then ridge takes over for Monday, the 30th. Look at this. Yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. As we near February 1st here, we're still dealing with this area of high pressure to the east. But watch the storm here out west, how it's pivoting around. Let's see what happens with that. Yeah, it doesn't look like too much is happening. We start to break down the ridge a little bit here. It's pretty strong. Then we have an interesting feature here. This is towards Friday the 3rd, February 3rd. So it's something we'll have to keep an eye on here. So what's our medium range climate model here doing? Well, let's go out past, where the Euro left off. And it's interesting. Well, not so much. We're dealing with a lot of ridginess here across the east. That's until about mid-February. We've seen this time and time again. We'll see if this flips back. But, later February, possibly, we might start to get a little bit more of a decent winter pattern. All right, so let's take a look at our polar vortex. It's been absent, and it's going to continue to be here. Look at through the end of January, it pretty much retreats across the North Atlantic over to Europe over here. We basically have a positive cell over here into the Yukon and Alaska. Is this going to change? Well, we're taking it towards February 2nd here. It just doesn't look promising. I'm going to be really honest with you here. There we go. We take it through February 9th. It's wobbling a little bit towards, the North Pole here, but it's just not looking good. All right, so let's take a look at temperatures here. Wednesday, here it is. We're actually going to start to see a warming trend here in Texas again, all the way up here into the Appalachians and the East Coast. Look at this. Cold air filtering behind the system into your Thursday. Look at this. Cold air pivots southward here. This warmth is going to continue to build northward here. Watch this as we head into your Friday. Look at this. Much warmer here across much of the southeast, 50s and lots of 60s. But watch here in the northern plains. We do get a little bit of cold air here into the northeast for your Friday. But watch what happens here. This is your Saturday here across the north. Look at this. This is massive cold air. Warm air. You're going to see somewhere across the south severe thunderstorms out of this. Watch as we head here into Sunday. Yeah, we start to see this cold air line plummeting a little bit farther to the south. Will we see this head east? Well, let's take a look here into Monday. It pretty is happy camping out here across much of the northern plains. All right, so let's take a look at your tropics here. Let's just back this up. There we go. So yeah, looking really nice here across the Caribbean. We might have some showers here by the weekend here in parts of the Eastern Caribbean, but you know what? You can't complain this time of year. You're not dealing with any hurricanes, no major tropical moisture. You got those northeast trade winds here from in the upper levels. Look at that, keeping things really nice. All right, so what's going on out here let's back that up. There we go. So the Philippines over to Vietnam, westward here. The tropical season's pretty much over here in places like China and Japan for the time being until we get later. A couple months. But let's take a look and see what's going on in our tropical convergence zone. It's horribly rainy here in the central and southern parts of the Philippines. Let's take a look, see if that's going to continue. Yes, it is. Unfortunately, there up into the central and southern Philippines, you see through Thursday. Yeah, this has been a rainy time of it. And look what's waiting to the east here for you. It's just going to continue to be very rainy. Let's see if we can provide any sort of break. You get a little bit of a break Saturday morning here before this next push from the east, and that's looking pretty tropical. We're going to have to watch this because you still can get named tropical storms this time of year coming right into the central Philippines for this weekend. Look at this. I'm sorry to say, you're celebrating Lunar New Year week here, any one of you. It's going to be a tough go of it here across parts of the Philippines. Look at that. China up there is just dry as a bone. So is Japan. But look at this. You just can't catch a break here. across parts of the Philippines as we continue in time. Finally, look at this, Wednesday, February 1st. We might actually get a whole week here. This is Friday, February 3rd. Look at that. Yeah, we start getting some showers Saturday, February 4th here. But the good news is, look at this. That intertropical convergence zone, we do get a little bit of a wave Sunday, February 5th, but look at that. It does start to try to come back north, but this is probably the biggest period of dryness that you're going to see in quite some time. So really, as we get towards the 1st of February, get out there and enjoy it, because look at that. Things are looking much better. Extended outlook for my hometown viewers, Wednesday through Saturday for the upper Susquehanna River Valley, Binghamton to Scranton. Take a look at this. Yeah, Wednesday we're going to see about 2 to 3 inches in the valleys, around 5 inches, maybe 6 inches above 1,200 feet. So, yeah, it's going to be variable here. Wind's going to be kicking out of 20, 30, 35 mile per hour wind gusts. It's going to be a miserable day. You might have some sleet and freezing rain mix in, and then Wednesday night, that's when the warm air comes in. I think, we'll still see some lingering snow, sleet, and freezing rain on the hilltops above 1,200 feet, but you'll be changing over to rain in the valleys, up to 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain, and we'll slowly erode that cold air. Thursday, we have some snow showers on the backside, windy conditions. Friday and Saturday, a little bit cooler, mostly cloudy skies. Thanks for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather Northeastern and Weather Eastern. Don't forget Facebook MeteoMark, Weather Northeastern, also Hurricane Northeastern, at Susquehanna Weather for my local page, and guess what? MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com is Twitter, at Weather Eastern. Don't forget, question or comment down below, smash that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell button, share the video, and thanks for joining me.